be honest with you, I was taking it one day at a time. Trying to finish the season out on a good note, which is what we tried to do. And a couple of days after the last game, Fred was announced. The decision was made to get rid of Coach Miles. Fred was announced, and Fred contacted me as soon as his name was announced or whatever to get the job, and told me he would like to meet. And it just took off from there. We met. He came up, did his press conference, and then it was pretty much like a week and a half, 2-week interview for me just to get to know him, and vice versa, for me to get to know him to make sure it would be a good fit. So that's kind of where it went.
What was your first impression after that first meeting with him?
You know what? My first impression was, first of all, I did all my research on him, and also some of the guys that were mentioned to be a part of his staff to see if I would fit in. And I was shocked, with the accolades that he had, the different things that he's done at Iowa State, and also his resume in the NBA, being a GM, being a former NBA player, and also being an NBA head coach. So that's very impressive, and I just feel like it would be a really good opportunity for me to learn and grow as an assistant coach.
What was that like hopping on the road with him right away? You said it was a week and a half or a couple-week interview process. So
yeah.
You're working through that process, and then you're going out to see guys like at HOL. And what was that whole thing like? Was it weird? Was it normal?
You know what? It was actually fun. It was very relaxed. It was a relaxed environment. Myself, Maddie, and Coach hit the road right away, and got a chance to see Gervais at his junior college. And from his junior college, we were able to see his kind of host mom out in Denver. So that was a one-day trip. So you can see Gervais was pretty much one of our top priorities to make sure that we can get him to stay here. Then the following day, we ended up going to see a call, and that whole process was fun. I was just, to be honest with you, me just being myself. If I couldn't be myself, I wouldn't be able to work anywhere. So, being myself, and that it just went from there. It felt like it was a good fit. Things he wanted from me, was things that I do on my own every day. So it was pretty fun.
What about staying in Lincoln? Did you want to, what about that process?
To be honest with you, that was huge for me to stay in Lincoln. Actually love Lincoln. It was a huge change from Chicago. Obviously, Chicago I was there for the past 7 years, 2 at Loyola Chicago and 5 at Northwestern. And the hustle and bustle of the city, it could get to you. And being from Chicago as well, for my whole life, just the hustle and bustle. But getting here, I just love the environment. This program has the full support of the community, the Lincoln community. And pretty much I tell all the guys that we recruit, you guys are the pro team, you're the NBA team here in Nebraska, to be honest. And in other places that I've been, there were actually pro teams, in an NBA, NFL, MLB team, so you always competed. But here, it's top of the line. So this is exactly where I want to be. And if you look at the staff that Coach assembled, I just feel like it's an unbelievable opportunity for me. I'm blessed to be a part of this staff because I'm on a staff with former head coaches, and also, again, with the accolades of Coach Holberg, and you guys know Coach Maddie. They call him the recruiting guru, the transfer guru. So I'm starting to learn a little bit on that side of things as well.
What's your impression so far of Abdelmassi as far as what he can do here as a recruiter in general?
Say that one more time.
What's your impressions of Abdelmassi so far, what he can do as a recruiter here, and also just coaching as well?
Hey, very impressive. Very impressive. Honestly, it's the lifeline of any program is recruiting, and it's a different way to skin a cat. So I'm learning his side of things, how to do it on the transfer market. I've always done it with junior college players and high school kids. So now, recruiting former Division I players to come here at whatever level, the high major level, mid major, or low major. If they produce, they pretty much want to be in a position where they can be successful at the highest level, and they have this opportunity here. But I'm learning that aspect, and then just you know, learning from Coach Luke, just different things. So it's been fun. It's been fun so far, and I'm very impressed with everybody on the staff.
Given your connections in Chicago and recruiting there, and obviously, you know, Fred was with the Bulls for 3.5 years. I mean, do you sense that his name will resonate with kids in the Chicago area?
Absolutely, it has already. Not only in the Chicagoland area, but again, when I make phone calls now to different AAU programs, the AAU coaches, and for sure in Chicago, the name resonates, you know, everywhere. You know, if it's not the kid, because Fred's playing career, obviously those kids probably wasn't born, you know, or just too young to remember. So, but the parents and the coaches definitely remember him, and they also, the parents and coaches, they also look at, you know, what he's done at Iowa State, the style of play, and you know how mild-mannered he is. Again, there's different ways to skin a cat, and he's so laid back. People want to play for him. He's what you call a player's coach. So it's been good so far, and you know, again, I think this place is going to take off.
How much with the guys that are still here? What was that? Because obviously you're the guy that's now been on both. Have you had a chance to talk with those guys, or what have you seen from that approach of the guys that are still here, making the switch?
You know, it's just a fresh start for everyone involved with the program, and that's from, you know, the strength coach to, you know, athletic trainers, you know, to the janitors. You know, everybody's role is going to change now. You have to adapt to, you know, who the boss is, and Coach Holberg lets everyone, you know, pretty much kind of set their own stage. And the players, they've taken advantage of this new start in terms of workouts. They've been working hard. The guys that's, you know, injury-free and available from class since finals week is coming up. But these guys, they're really enjoying it. It's a different approach now, and I'm glad that these guys are open to the change. One thing I am going to add is you guys will see as you make your way around the tables, we probably have around the country, we're going to have probably the funniest accents in college basketball. This staff, you know, you got Bobby Lutz, who got a country accent from North Carolina. You have Doc, who most of you guys already know. He's got that southern slang, you know, southern swang, whatever you want to call it. And then once you guys get a chance to, our ops guy hasn't been in place yet, but he's supposedly from Italy, and you'll hear that as well in my Chicago deal, you know. So you guys will see. But that's what I love. We're all cut from different cloths, but Coach assembled a really good staff, and we're looking for some big things to come, you know, in the future.
Do you feel like on the recruiting front, just with sort of what you described as your style, and with Matt, I feel like you can find the talent to be in the upper reaches of the Big Ten?
100%. We definitely, again, we can definitely coexist, and that's one thing I love about this opportunity is, you know, I'm on a staff where there's someone else that really locks in on recruiting, and it's just, you know, the pressure, I don't feel that pressure, you know, on my other stops I've been, you know, there was a little pressure that I felt to help and get majority of the guys, and that's not the case anymore, and I love it. I love it. I get to focus on a couple other things and continue to better myself, and that's what I love, because at the end of the day, I do have aspirations to become a head coach, but, you know, it's baby steps, and I can learn so much from this staff.
Have you guys kind of sorted out what the different responsibilities will be in terms of recruiting, whether regionally or whatever type you guys are going to do, how you're going to handle that?
Pretty much it's just get after it. Get some players in here, get after it, and, you know, kind of, again, coexist, communicate so we won't recruit the same guy, you know, and that's what we've been doing already from day one. So it's just pretty much let's get after it. Don't care where it is. I have experience all across the country being at Northwestern. You know, academically you had to pluck from different places, and you know we have to pluck guys from different places to get them here to Lincoln. But once you get the kids here, you guys already know once they get here, it's a wrap. You know, with these facilities and the people here.
And obviously, you know, there's some local guys that have been on the radar here recently. Has Fred decided how he's going to handle kind of the local recruiting aspect, or who's going to handle that, or how that's going to work?
You know what? Since I've been a part of the staff already, and you know those, and pretty familiar with those guys, I'm pretty much gonna, kind of re-recruit those guys and make sure they stay on board and, kind of take it from there. But, this state obviously has players that's good enough, and especially in the future, these 20 and 21 classes, there's players that can play at this high major level. So we're not going to slow it down recruiting the state of Nebraska at all.
Armon, the first couple meetings with this current staff, how have those gone for you?
Oh, amazing. It shows there's some staff camaraderie here, and we want to do this thing together. I can tell that that's his model, and that's what worked for him in the past, and that's the same model we're taking in the future. And we just want to make sure we do it all the right way.
I know you were friends with Tim. He hired you.
Yes.
How difficult was it seeing him over this last couple months?
You know what? It was extremely tough, but I take my hat off to Tim throughout that whole process, because he finished out the year hearing all the rumblings and the different rumors and things like that, but he didn't lose sight of what we were trying to do, and that was trying to finish the Big Ten season out and also go through the Big Ten conference tournament, and then making the NIT. I think Tim handled it professionally. He kept his head throughout the whole process, and again, it was tough, but again, we all know it's a business, and unfortunately, the business got the best of that staff, for sure.
Armon, what are some characteristics that you have personally that help you with this current staff?
You know what? My characteristics that if you look at the staff, we have a couple veterans, for sure. Year-wise, those guys have been head coaches. So what I could bring to the table that I've talked to with Fred is bringing energy, definitely relating to the guys, definitely hitting the road recruiting, and also just, being a voice when needed, we have 2 ears and one mouth, for a reason, and I'm definitely going to, use my 2 ears to learn from these guys, these veterans, because, of course, they've been where I want to be, and that's a head coach in a head coach position. So, again, just excited about this situation, for sure. I think our guys did an unbelievable job handling the adversity as well before the season ended. And, again, that's one of the reasons he wanted to keep me on, was to, be that liaison and to be able to relate to those guys and kind of continue to work with them, on and off the court. So that part has been easy, but mentally, I think those guys needed to spend time with Coach and the rest of the staff to know that this was going to work out for them.
Well, you still look good in red. We're happy to have you back. Good to see you again, man. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
You're the man. Yes, sir.
How important was the news you got yesterday with Gervais staying on board, and what is his skill set? What can he bring to this start this year?
Big time news. Big time news. Gervais is probably one of the best junior college players in the country, and I began to get a little nervous, because schools, when there's a coaching change, they start reaching out to junior college coaches and trying to put their bid in for the kid once a change is made and the kid gets his release. Fortunately, Gervais never asked for that release, and he gave Fred a great chance, to retain him and keep him locked in. And it just took a couple meetings, and Gervais stayed on board, and huge coup for us, because that kid can really play. I mean, you'll see he has an NBA-ready body, can really shoot the ball, he can handle the ball, and he's a great kid. He'll be a great teammate. So, I think for our program to continue to have the success that it's had, I think he's a huge part of it.
There's going to be a lot of new faces around here already on the roster, and maybe even more. But you watched Deshaun play for a whole year. You know Gervais' game. How do they fit together? And obviously they play together. But what do you think of them, sort of a starting point in your backcourt?
Oh, you know what? One of the best, the most dynamic backcourts in the country. They have a shot of being, just based upon, if you watch Coach Holberg's Iowa State teams play, again, with those two guys, Monte Morris and DeAndre Kane, I actually went back and watched some of those clips and things like that, and it's extremely exciting to see the possibility of what those two guys can do under that same system.
Sean was pretty vocal about. He sort of said a few days ago that he was on board and he was ready for this. How have you seen him grow, and how have you described his game for people that obviously haven't seen a whole lot of him yet?
Oh, absolutely. So when it comes to Burke is a kid that if you love on him, that kid will do anything for you. And immediately Coach Holberg wanted to see what each guy brought to the table. So he's been working with Burke and even Glenn. Glenn's been getting a lot of workouts with Coach because he wants to be a part of that NBA style, workouts. And that's what Coach has been putting those guys through. And I think Burke, one of his weaknesses is shooting the ball consistently. And that was Coach Holberg's strength. So he loves that aspect of Coach Holberg spending that time with him on the court, fine-tuning his shot. So I think that solidified D. Burke right there. It kind of locked him in.
I know you talked about it earlier, Coach, so I apologize. I just didn't get it on tape. But obviously when Coach Miles was relieved, you must have had a moment where you thought, well, I'm probably out the door too. When was that moment when you first realized you might have a chance to stick around with Coach Holberg?
You know what? Just receiving that text message from Coach Holberg saying he would love to have the chance to reach out, for me to sit down with him and get a chance to know each other. I think that gave me a little bit of clarity. And once we sat down and got a chance to speak, he was just open about what he was looking for, and all those things he was looking for was in my characteristics. It was my personality, so I kind of felt comfortable with that.
And you must be excited, obviously, to kind of be in this new era, so to speak. But it's also a little bit of bittersweet because the person who brought you in, and Coach Miles, had to go. How have you kind of handled that? What is that like to kind of process?
Like you guys know Coach Miles, he's an easygoing guy, and Coach Miles gave me his blessing right away. Once Coach Holberg was announced and he got a chance to speak with Coach Holberg asked him about each guy on staff, and he called me immediately, Coach Miles did, to tell me with the things he told Holberg about me, and he was honest. He told him my strengths, my weaknesses, and look, Gates, I really think you have an opportunity to stay on and just be yourself. And I took that advice, and the rest is history.
You're talking about Deshaun and Gervais. How does Amir fit into this thing going forward?
You know what? It's tough only because Amir is injured, so he's not able to get on the court for Coach Holberg to kind of see what he can do. But I do know Amir is an extremely, gifted athlete. He's long and athletic, so he's able to do some things defensively and on the offensive glass and slash into the basket. I think he can space the floor and catch and go, those type of things that Coach Holberg's been preaching to the team already. But Amir just needs to continue to fine-tune his shot, and I think the sky will be the limit for that kid.
Yeah, because he's got those instincts where he knows when he's open and get to the basket.
Absolutely, we all seen that towards the end of the year when he had his opportunity to play before he would end up getting injured. That he can be an asset to this program for sure.
You guys feel like you can teach shooting? Is that perimeter shooting? Is that something you can teach, or is that something the kid he has to have?
No, that's definitely something you can teach. You can teach that, you got to have the confidence to do it as a shooter. But once you find out the things you're doing wrong, and you get a shooting coach that really can help fine tune those different things that you're doing wrong, the sky, again, that's why I think the sky's the limit for him, because he has the other attributes. You can't teach the athleticism, but you can definitely teach him other things, and shooting is one.
Yeah, you've been out on the road with Fred and with Matt, and you've kind of seen them interact with each other. How do they kind of play off each other, and what were your early impressions of kind of their relationship?
Oh yeah, so Matty knows Coach Holberg like the back of his hand, and Matty's been helping me, get acclimated with Coach Holberg in terms of the things he looks for, and on and off the court, from his staff, from players, and it's been great so far. Matty's been knowing Coach Holberg since their time together with the Minnesota Timberwolves, where Matty was an intern as when Coach was the GM. So again, Matty and Coach, they have a great relationship, and I think it's going to continue to grow from there. And again, he knows what Coach is looking for, and he's pretty much been a liaison for me to Coach Holberg. and vice versa.
You talked about Gervais. How easy is it to kind of show players like him who can pour it in and get buckets, how they can fit into a system like Fred's?
All you do is really you pull up some film, exactly what Coach Holberg did. He pulled up film from his time at Iowa State and also showed them film from his time in the NBA, because everyone wants to be in the league, and they see the type of spacing that Coach Holberg implements in his style of play, and it kind of sells itself from there. The guys can kind of view themselves, they put themselves in that jersey, and kind of it takes off. They can kind of see where they can excel with that spacing, and also with 4 other guys that can really play. It makes your life easier as a player.
Hey, Armon, excuse me if you've been asked this.
Yes.
Gervais, I've read he's a downhill type player. I saw him big body.
Yes.
Why do you think he'll fit well in the Big Ten?
Because of that NBA style body that he has, that you mentioned, and also his ability to play the game. He knows the game. He has a big time IQ, and anytime you can shoot the ball, it makes the game easy for you. And sometimes that kid, you guys have seen it. Maybe you pulled up clips, but he's had 50-point games, 40-point games, 30-point games numerous times at his junior college, and that translates. If you can score the ball, if you're good at one thing, it'll translate. If you find a guy that can really rebound the ball, that translates to any level. So Gervais Green, he's a big-time scorer, a big-time player, an unselfish teammate. All that stuff translates, and that's the type of guy you want in your program.
When I think of James Palmer, I think of a guy who could go in the lane and hang and draw contact and still get it up. Is there anything that defines Gervais Green like that?
Yeah, again, Gervais, once he gets it going, shooting from that perimeter, it opens up every other lane for him to drive, for him to drive and kick, for him to drive and score. Okay. And shooting does that. Again, if we can continue to find guys that's skilled and they can do multiple things on the court, that's Coach Holberg's style of play, the sky's going to be the limit.
And with Doc in the picture, obviously, how does Gervais project on the defensive side, especially in such a physical Big Ten? You know what?
Gervais, with any player, if you emphasize it, you achieve what you emphasize. If you really sit down and have a defensive mindset, those guys will do it because they know that's what you have to do to play this game and to be successful and win. And that's what Coach Holberg is going to implement. Obviously, Coach Holberg is an offensive-minded guy, but you can see who we got back here, Coach Doc, and Coach Doc is a defensive-minded guy. And look, I'm ready to just sit back and learn, and I'm sure Gervais Green is excited to sit back and learn and just let this thing take off and see where it takes us.
I'm going to jump. We were talking earlier, analytics. Fred obviously mentioned it at his introductory press conference. Bobby had just talked about it a little bit. The NBA, that's such a big deal. How much was that in play last year, and even when you were at Northwestern? And kind of, are you excited about taking another step forward with that?
Absolutely. So the analytic, that all started pretty much in the NBA. And being a part of the Northwestern staff, Chris Collins has that NBA background as well. And so I was introduced to it then. Coming here, the analytics, Coach Miles was huge on kind of what Holberg hit on in terms of the mid-range is a loss. It's a lost cause. The percentages goes down significantly when you shoot a mid-range shot. So analytic guys, they want you to shoot layups and threes. Guess what? Coach Holberg's specialty was shooting threes. So he's huge on that. He wants us to recruit looking towards that. But if you can prove that you can shoot that mid-range, he wants you to shoot. He wants you to do what your, whatever your strength is. That's what he wants you to, be great at. And you know what? The numbers. It's all about the numbers. If guys are great shooting that mid-range, he's going to allow that. But if not, either you're shooting a three, shooting a layup. So, and I'm still getting to know that analytics side. I haven't been a huge number guy. I just been wanting to get guys that can really play the game and can show that they love the game. I think that's the first hurdle, finding guys that love the game.
And do you think that's almost, I don't want to say easier, but you can use that as a tool in recruiting because, one, that is what the next level will be preaching. But then, two, for a lot of these guys, hey, listen, that quick three, we want you to take that. Is that you be able to use that as a tool?
Yes. Kids love to play fast. They want to get shots up fast. They want to rebound and go. So, oh yeah, they want to rebound and go. So that's definitely helped out. tremendously, and I think it's going to continue to help the recruiting process, because kids will see, once we get started in this process, get kids on campus and they watch us work out. I mean, it's gonna take off, because it's gonna be something new that they haven't seen here.